The big meeting room was full of noise. Aliens from different worlds sat around tables, talking in their strange languages. Some had 4 eyes, others had blue skin, and a few looked like giant insects. But at one table, the humans sat very quietly. Lisa Carter was the human ambassador. She wore a simple blue suit and had short brown hair. Her hands rested on the table, but inside she felt angry. Next to her, Commander Jake Reynolds looked at his tablet. He was reading reports about spaceships. Leaving Earth, both of them knew something the aliens did not know. The alien leader stood up. His name was Vexthal, and he looked like a tall lizard with 4 red eyes. He spoke in a loud voice that echoed around the room. "We have made our decision," Vexthal said. "The humans cannot sell their goods in our space anymore. No human ships, no human products, no human trade." The other aliens made happy sounds. They clicked and whistled and hummed. They had been voting against humans for many years. They said humans were too violent, too different, too dangerous. Lisa stood up slowly. Her chair made a small scraping sound. The room became quiet. All the aliens looked at her with their strange eyes. "We understand," Lisa said. Her voice was calm and clear. "We accept your decision." The aliens seemed surprised. They had expected the humans to argue or get angry. But Lisa just picked up her papers and started to walk away. What the aliens did not know was that humans had been ready for this day. Captain Tony Martinez was already on his spaceship, the USS Endeavour. He was talking to other human captains. On different ships, they were all getting ready to leave. "Operation Silent Dawn is starting now," Tony said into his radio. "All human ships begin evacuation procedures." All over the galaxy, humans were getting the same message. It was not written in normal words. It was in a special code that only humans could understand. The message was simple: pack everything and leave. Take nothing that belongs to the aliens, but leave nothing behind for them to use. Dr. Amy Foster was working on the moon base near Earth. She was a scientist who studied computers and space technology. When she got the message, she started copying all her research onto special storage devices. The aliens had always used human technology, but they never bothered to learn how it really worked. Amy worked all night, copying files and deleting them from the main computers. She was not the only one. Every human scientist, engineer, and worker was doing the same thing. They were taking their knowledge with them. The aliens had always treated humans like they were not important. When humans invented new things, the aliens just took them and used them. When humans offered to help solve problems, the aliens said humans were too stupid to understand. When humans asked to join the most important group of alien leaders, the aliens said no. But now the humans were leaving, and they were taking everything with them. Commander Jake Reynolds was in charge of protecting human people as they left. He had been a soldier for 20 years, and he knew how to organize big movements of people and ships. His job was to make sure every human got away safely. "The passenger ships are ready," Jake told Lisa through his radio. "We can move 10,000 people today and another 15,000 tomorrow." Lisa nodded. She was still in the meeting room, but she was getting ready to leave too. The aliens were still talking and making their happy sounds. They thought they had won something important. "How long until everyone is gone?" Lisa asked quietly. 2 weeks, Jake said. "Maybe less if we work fast." The humans had been planning this for months. They had built new spaceships in secret. They had found new worlds to live on, far away from alien space. They had even figured out how to grow food and make the things they needed without any help from aliens. Captain Steve Morgan was flying his ship through the outer edge of alien space. His ship was full of human families who had been living on alien worlds. Some of these families had been there for many years. Their children had been born on alien worlds. But now they were all leaving. "Where are we going, Dad?" asked a little girl named Emma. "To a new home," Steve told her. "A place where we can be ourselves." The aliens did not understand what was happening at first. They saw human ships leaving, but they thought it was just normal travel. They saw humans packing their things, but they thought humans were just moving. to different places, but then they started to notice bigger changes at the big space station near Jupiter. Alien workers tried to turn on the computers, but the computers would not work. The humans who had been running them were gone, and they had taken all the instruction books with them. On the mining planet Kepler 442b, alien miners tried to use the big machines that dug metals from the ground. But the machines just sat there, silent and broken. The humans who knew how to fix them had left in the night. In the Centauri system, alien bankers tried to move money from one planet to another, but their computer systems crashed. The humans who had built those systems were gone, and they had taken all their programs with them. Dr. Kelly Adams had been working on a project to make dead planets come alive. She had found ways to make air and water and plants grow on worlds that had been empty rocks. But when she left, she took all her research with her. She even destroyed the machines that helped her work. The aliens started to worry. They sent messages to human leaders asking where everyone was going. But the humans did not answer. They just kept packing and leaving. General Patricia Stone was in charge of human soldiers who had been helping alien armies. These soldiers had been protecting alien worlds from space pirates and other dangers. But now Patricia was calling all the soldiers back to human ships. "Are we abandoning our posts?" asked Colonel Ryan Walsh. "No," Patricia said. "We are ending our contract. The aliens made it very clear that they do not want us here." As the human soldiers left, the aliens began to see problems. The early warning systems that told them about enemy ships stopped working. The defense computers that aimed their weapons started making mistakes. The communication systems that let different alien armies talk to each other went silent. Ambassador Lisa Carter was one of the last humans to leave the main alien space station. As her shuttle flew away, she looked back at the huge structure. It was full of thousands of aliens from hundreds of different worlds. They were all talking and arguing and making plans, but they did not know that their world was about to change forever. Lisa's shuttle joined a group of other human ships. They were all flying toward the edge of known space, toward new worlds that the aliens had never seen. Behind them, the alien civilization continued as if nothing had happened. The aliens thought they were stronger without humans. They thought they were safer without humans. They thought they were better without humans. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Jake Reynolds looked at his final report. It showed that 90% of all humans had already left alien space. The rest would be gone within days. The operation was working perfectly. "Mission accomplished," he said to himself, but Jake knew this was not really the end. It was just the beginning. The aliens would soon discover what they had lost. And when they did, they would try to get the humans back. But by then, it would be too late. The humans would be gone, and they would never come back. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson about friendship and respect. And the humans were about to show everyone what they could do when they were free to be themselves. 3 weeks had passed since the last human ship left the big space station. The aliens were still happy about their decision. They thought they had gotten rid of a problem. But slowly, things started to go wrong. The first sign of trouble came from the communication systems. The big networks that let aliens talk to each other across space began to fail. Messages that should have taken minutes to send were taking hours. Some messages never arrived at all. Vexthal, the alien leader, was in his office when his assistant rushed in. The assistant was a small blue creature with 6 arms. "Sir, we have a problem," the assistant said. "The quantum communication network is breaking down." Vexthal looked confused. "What do you mean breaking down? These systems have worked perfectly for years." "Yes, sir, but the humans were the ones who maintained them. They knew how to fix the problems and keep everything running. Now that they are gone, we cannot repair the systems when they break." This was the first time Vexthal realized that humans had been doing more than just taking up space in the council meetings. They had been working behind the scenes, keeping the galaxy's technology running. On the mining planet Kepler 442b, Administrator Clethro was facing a crisis. She was a tall gray alien with 4 eyes and no hair. Her job was to manage the mining operations that provided metals for the entire galaxy. Production is down by 70%, her chief engineer reported. The big mining machines are not working properly. We cannot figure out how to operate them. Clethra walked to the control room. The humans who had worked there had kept everything clean and organized. But now the alien workers were pressing buttons randomly, hoping something would work. Did the humans leave any instruction manuals? Clethra asked. Yes, but they are written in human language and use human technical terms. We cannot understand them. Clethra felt a cold fear in her stomach. The mining operation was crucial for the galaxy's economy. If they could not get the machines working, many planets would run out of materials. Similar problems were happening all over alien space. The Rigelian Defense Force discovered that their most advanced warships could not aim their weapons properly. The targeting systems had been designed by humans, and without human technicians to maintain them, the systems were failing. Captain Zaldhawk was the commander of the Rigelian flagship. He was a warrior who had fought in many battles. But now, he was helpless. The weapons computer is showing error messages, his weapons officer reported. I cannot understand what they mean. Zaldhawk looked at the screen. It was full of human text and symbols. The Rigelians had never bothered to learn human writing because they thought it was unimportant. Can we fight without the computer? Zaldhawk asked. We can try, but our accuracy will be very poor. The humans designed these systems to be much more precise than manual aiming. The Rigelian fleet, once the most powerful military force in the galaxy, was now almost useless. The Centauri banking consortium was having even worse problems. Their entire financial system had been built on human computer programs, without humans to maintain the software. The programs were crashing every few hours. Banker Veltar was trying to process a simple money transfer between two planets. But every time he entered the information, the computer would freeze and display error messages. This is impossible, Veltar said to his assistant. How did the humans make this look so easy? I think they understood the system better than we realized, his assistant replied. Maybe they designed it to only work for them. But that was not true. The humans had designed the system to work for everyone. They had just never taught the aliens how to use it properly because the aliens had never asked to learn. Captain Steve Morgan was still flying his ship through space, picking up the last human families from remote colonies. His ship's sensors could detect alien communications, so he knew about the problems the aliens were having. Captain, we are receiving distress signals from 17 different alien worlds, his communications officer reported. They are asking for technical assistance? Steve smiled grimly. Are they asking us specifically, or just broadcasting general requests for help? General requests, sir? They seem to be hoping that any humans who are still in the area will respond. Well, we are not in the area anymore, are we? Steve said. Continue on our planned route. The human evacuation was almost complete. Only a few hundred humans remained in alien space, and they were all scheduled to leave within the next few days. Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Walsh was overseeing the departure of the last human military unit. They had been stationed on Proxima Prime, helping to defend the planet from space pirates. As his transports prepared to leave, he watched alien soldiers trying to operate the defense systems. Should we leave them some basic instructions? Asked Sergeant Lisa Martinez. Ryan thought about it for a moment. Did they ever ask us to teach them these systems? No, sir. They always said they could figure it out themselves if they needed to. Then let them figure it out themselves, Ryan said. We offered to share our knowledge many times. They always refused. As the human transports lifted off from Proxima Prime, Ryan could see alien fighters scrambling to patrol the space around the planet. But their flight patterns were chaotic and uncoordinated. The humans had been providing air traffic control and tactical coordination. Without them, the alien pilots were flying blind. Dr. Kelly Adams was the last human scientist to leave the terraforming research station. She had spent 5 years developing new ways to make dead planets suitable for life. Her work had been used to create homes for millions of aliens. As she packed her final research files, her alien assistant watched with growing panic. "Dr. Adams, you cannot take all of this research with you," the assistant said. "The terraforming project will collapse without your data." Kelly looked at the alien sadly. "I offered to train a team of your scientists to continue this work. The council said it was not necessary because aliens were naturally better at this type of research, but we need your help. You needed my help 5 years ago. You need my help now. But you only realize it when I am leaving." Kelly sealed the last storage device and put it in her bag. She had spent years creating detailed instructions and training materials. But the alien scientists had never shown any interest in learning. From her, the problems were getting worse every day. Space traffic control systems were failing, causing ships to crash into each other. Power plants were shutting down because nobody knew how to maintain the human-designed safety systems. Even simple things like elevators and automatic doors were breaking down. Commander Jake Reynolds was monitoring the situation from his ship. He had intelligence officers stationed throughout alien space, reporting on the growing chaos. "The situation is deteriorating faster than we predicted," Intelligence Officer Nina Hayes reported. "Some alien worlds are already experiencing food shortages because their automated farms have stopped working." Jake nodded. "Any signs that they are starting to understand what has happened?" "Yes, sir. We intercepted communications from the council leadership. They are beginning to realize that humans were essential to their technological infrastructure. Are they trying to contact us?" "They are sending messages to known human colonies and space stations. But of course those locations are all empty." Now, the aliens were finally starting to panic. They sent exploration ships to search for human colonies. They broadcast messages on all frequencies, begging for human assistance. They even offered to reverse their decision and welcome humans back to the council, but the humans were already too far away to receive these messages. And even if they had received them, they might not have responded. The aliens had made their choice, and now they had to live with the consequences. President Marcus Wright was in his office on the colony ship New Geneva. He was reading reports from the intelligence teams that were still monitoring alien space. The reports painted a picture of a civilization in rapid decline. "They are learning the hard way," Wright said to his chief of staff. "But the question is, are they learning the right lesson?" "What do you mean, sir?" "Are they learning to respect other species and work together? Or are they just learning that they should have been nicer to us because we were useful?" Wright suspected it was the latter. The aliens were not sorry for treating humans badly. They were just sorry that treating humans badly had hurt them. The human evacuation was now complete. Every human had left alien space, taking their knowledge and skills with them. The aliens were alone with their pride and their failing technology, and the worst was yet to come. 6 months had passed since the humans left, and the galaxy was falling apart. What had started as small problems was now becoming a disaster. The aliens were finally understanding what they had lost, but it was too late to fix anything. The Zephyrian Empire was the first to face complete collapse. They had been the loudest voices demanding that humans be removed from the council. Now their proud space fleet was stranded in different parts of the galaxy. Admiral Corthan was aboard the Zephyrian flagship when the navigation system failed completely. He was a tall alien with purple skin and 3 eyes. He had commanded fleets for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Sir, we are lost," his navigator reported. "The quantum beacons that guide us through hyperspace are not working. Without them, we cannot tell where we are or how to get home." Corthan looked at the star charts, but they were useless without the computer systems to calculate their position. "How long until we can repair the navigation system?" "We cannot." "Repair it, sir? It was designed by humans. We do not understand how it works." The Zephyrian fleet was not alone. Dozens of alien ships were drifting in space, unable to navigate the complex hyperspace routes that connected different star systems. Some ships had been lost for weeks, running low on food and fuel. On the planet Altair 7, Dr. Kelly Adams had been working on a terraforming project before the humans left. She had been changing the planet's atmosphere to make it breathable for the Altarian people. But now the project was failing. The Altarian scientists tried to continue her work, but they did not understand the complex biological processes she had created. Plants that she had designed to produce oxygen were dying. The atmosphere was becoming poisonous instead of breathable. "We need to contact the humans," said Chief Scientist Malther. "Only they can fix what is happening here." "The humans are gone," his assistant reminded him. "We voted to make them leave, remember?" Malther felt sick. His people had been so excited about getting their own breathable planet. Now they might lose the planet entirely because they could not maintain the human technology. The economic collapse was spreading through the galaxy like a disease. The automated factories that produced everything from food to clothing were shutting down. These factories had been built with human technology and needed constant maintenance that only humans understood. On the industrial world of Vega Prime, factory manager Zexwil watched helplessly as his production lines stopped working. The robots that assembled products were making terrible mistakes. Some were putting parts in the wrong places. Others were not moving at all. "The quality control systems are failing," his chief technician reported. "The products we are making are dangerous to use?" Zexwil had never paid attention to the human engineers who had designed these systems. He had thought they were just hired workers who followed orders. Now he realized they had been the ones who really understood how everything worked. "Can we run the factory manually?" he asked. "We can try, but production will be very slow, and the quality will be poor. We might only make 10% of what we used to produce." The factory employed thousands of alien workers. If production dropped that much, most of them would lose their jobs. And this was happening on hundreds of worlds. Throughout the galaxy. Commander Greg Patterson was monitoring the situation from a hidden human base on the edge of known space. He had been an intelligence officer for 15 years, and his job was to keep track of what was happening in alien territory. "The reports are getting worse every day," he told his team. "The aliens are facing food shortages, power failures, and transportation breakdowns. Some planets are asking for emergency help. Are they asking humans for help?" asked Intelligence Officer Nina Hayes. "They are trying to, but they do not know where to find us. They are sending messages to our old colonies, but those places are empty now." Greg looked at the latest reports. The aliens were not just losing their technology. They were losing their ability to work together. Without the communication networks that humans had maintained, different alien species were having trouble coordinating their efforts. The Regelian Defense Force was facing its own crisis. Their job was to protect alien space from pirates and hostile species. But their weapon systems were failing, and their ships could barely fly. General Lekvar was a veteran military commander who had fought in many wars, but now he felt helpless. His most advanced battleship was floating dead in space because the power systems had shut down. "How many ships do we have operational?" he asked his staff. 12 ships out of 300, sir. And those 12 are not fully functional." Vekvar could not believe what he was hearing. The Regelian fleet had been the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Now they could barely defend their own home planet. "What about the defense stations around our territory?" "They are all offline, sir. The automated systems that controlled them were designed by humans. Without maintenance, they stopped working 2 weeks ago." This was exactly what the pirates had been waiting for. The Kethver swarm was a group of raiders who had been afraid to attack alien territory because of the strong defenses. But now they were moving freely through space, attacking weak planets and stealing whatever they wanted. Captain Vorthak led a Kethver raiding party toward the mining world of Kepler 442b. His scouts had reported that the planet's defenses were not working. "This is almost too easy," he told his crew. "The mighty Galactic Council cannot even protect their own mining operations." The Kethver had tried to attack this planet many times before, but the human-designed defense systems had always driven them away. Now those systems were silent, and the planet was completely vulnerable. The attack on Kepler 442b was swift and brutal. The Kethva raiders destroyed the mining equipment and took all the valuable metals. Administrator Clethra could only watch as months of work were ruined in a few hours. "Send a distress signal to the defense force," she ordered. "I tried, ma'am. The communication system is not working. And even if it was, the defense force does not have any ships available to help us." Similar attacks were happening throughout the galaxy. Worlds that had been safe for decades were now being raided by pirates and hostile species. The aliens were learning what it felt like to be defenseless. President Marcus Wright was reading these reports from his office on the colony ship New Geneva. The humans had built a new civilization far from alien space, and it was growing stronger every day. "They are finally paying the price for their arrogance," Wright said to his chief of staff, Linda Johnson, "but I almost feel sorry for them." "Should we consider helping them, sir?" Linda asked. Wright thought about this carefully. "They had 50 years to treat us with respect. They chose to treat us like we were inferior. Now they want our help because they are in trouble." "But innocent people are suffering because of their leaders' decisions." "That is true," Wright admitted. "But if we rescue them now, they will never learn to respect other species. They will just go back to their old ways as soon as the crisis is over." The human colonies were thriving while the alien civilization collapsed. Free from alien restrictions and politics, human scientists and engineers were making amazing discoveries. They had developed new technologies that were better than anything the aliens had ever seen. Dr. Frank Miller was working on advanced medical technology in the Andromeda Research Station. His innovations could cure diseases that had killed millions of aliens. But his research was now being used to help humans and their new allies, not the species that had rejected them. "We could solve most of their medical problems," he told his research team. "But they never wanted to learn from us when we offered to teach them." The alien governments were becoming desperate. They sent exploration fleets to search for human colonies. They offered huge rewards for any information about where the humans had gone. They even promised to give humans full membership in the inner circle of the council, but their messages were being sent to empty space. The humans had moved far beyond the reach of alien communication systems. And even if the aliens could find them, the humans were no longer interested in joining their failing civilization. The Centauri Banking Consortium was the last major alien institution to collapse. Their financial networks had been crashing for months, and now they could not process any transactions at all. Planets could not buy food, fuel, or medical supplies. The galactic economy had stopped working entirely. Banker Veltar was in his office when the final system failure occurred. All the screens went dark and the computers stopped responding completely. "That is it," he said to his assistant. "We are finished. Without these systems, we cannot move money anywhere in the galaxy. What do we do now?" His assistant asked. Veltar looked out the window at the city below. Already he could see signs of panic. People were rushing to stores, trying to buy supplies before the economic collapse spread to their planet. "We pray that someone figures out how to fix this mess," he said, "because we certainly cannot do it ourselves." The galaxy that had once been proud and powerful was now broken and helpless. The aliens had learned the hard way that respect and cooperation were not signs of weakness. They were the foundation of any successful civilization, but the lesson had come too late to save them. 2 years had passed since the humans left, and the galaxy was not the same place anymore. The great galactic council that had ruled thousands of worlds was breaking apart. The proud civilizations that had voted against humanity were now fighting each other for the few resources they had left. Ambassador Charles Brooks was watching all of this from a secret human observation post. He had been a diplomat for many years, and his job was to monitor what was happening in the old alien territories. What he saw made him both sad and angry. "The Zephyrian Empire has split into 12 different factions," he reported to the human Colonial Assembly. "They are fighting civil wars over who controls the remaining functional technology." The Zephyrians had been the most vocal opponents of human membership in the council. They had called humans primitive and violent. Now their own people were killing each other in desperate battles over broken machines they could not repair. What about the other major powers? Asked President Wright during their video conference. The Regellian Defense Force controls only their home system now, Charles replied. They cannot protect anyone else because most of their fleet is still stranded in space. The Centauri banking consortium has completely collapsed. There is no unified currency anymore, Wright nodded grimly. The humans had predicted this would happen, but seeing it actually occur was still shocking. An entire galactic civilization was falling apart because they had taken their technological foundation for granted. The aliens were trying everything they could think of to reverse engineer human technology. They had set up research teams on hundreds of worlds, desperately trying to understand how human machines worked. But they were failing badly. Dr. Yolhis was leading one such research team on the planet Rigel Prime. She was considered one of the smartest scientists in her species, but she was completely confused by the human devices she was studying. This makes no sense, she told her research assistant. The humans built these machines using principles we do not understand. Every time we try to copy their design, our version breaks down. The problem was that human technology was not just about the machines themselves. It was about the way humans thought about problems. Humans had developed their technology through thousands of years of trial and error, building on previous discoveries, in ways that were not obvious to other species. Maybe we should try to contact the humans directly, her assistant suggested. How? Dr. Yaltis asked. We do not know where they went. And even if we could find them, why would they help us after what we did to them? Meanwhile, the security situation in alien space was getting much worse. The Kethver raiders were not the only threat anymore. Other hostile species had learned that the galaxy's defenses were down, and they were all moving in to take advantage. The Void Hunters were an ancient species that had been contained beyond the galactic rim for centuries. They were known for destroying entire civilizations and consuming their resources. With the human-designed early warning systems offline, they were able to enter alien space undetected. Captain Zerthan was commanding a Void Hunter strike force as it approached the Altarian system. His species had been waiting for this opportunity for a very long time. The prey is defenseless, he told his crew. Their guardian species has abandoned them. Now we can feed. The Altarians had no idea what was coming. Their detection systems had been built by humans and were no longer working. The first sign of attack came when Void Hunter ships appeared directly above their major cities. The battle for Altair 7 was short and brutal. The Altarian Defense Force had only a few working ships, and they were no match for the Void Hunters. Within hours, the planet's infrastructure was destroyed and millions of civilians were dead or captured. Similar attacks were happening throughout the galaxy. Species that had been safe for generations were suddenly facing extinction. The protective shield that human technology had provided was gone, and the galaxy's predators were moving freely. General Patricia Stone was reviewing military intelligence reports from her office in the human colony of New Boston. She had been the commanding officer of human forces in alien space before the evacuation. Now she was watching her former area of responsibility fall into chaos. The casualty reports are staggering, she told her staff. Entire planetary populations are being wiped out because they cannot defend themselves. Should we intervene, General? Asked Colonel Ryan Walsh. Patricia thought about this carefully. The human military was now stronger than it had ever been. Free from alien political interference, they had developed new weapons and tactics that were far superior to anything in the galaxy. They could probably stop the attacks if they wanted to. The aliens made their choice, she said finally. They told us we were too aggressive, too militaristic. They said they would be safer without us. Now they are learning what real aggression looks like. But innocent people are dying, ma'am. Innocent people have been dying for 2 years while the alien governments tried to find us and beg for help. If they had spent that time learning to defend themselves instead of looking for someone else to save them, maybe fewer people would be dead now. It was a harsh truth, but Patricia knew it was accurate. The aliens had become completely dependent on human protection without realizing it. When that protection was removed, they were helpless against their enemies. The economic situation was just as bad as the military situation. Without the human-designed financial systems, trade between different worlds had almost stopped. Planets that specialized in producing certain goods could not sell them to worlds that needed them. This led to shortages of everything from food to medical supplies. On the agricultural world of Ceres Prime, Farmer Kelthiv was watching his crops rot in the fields. His planet produced enough food to feed 20 other worlds, but he could not ship it anywhere because the transportation systems were broken. "My family has been farming this land for 6 generations," he told his workers. "We have never seen anything like this. All this food going to waste while people on other planets are starving." The irony was that the technology to solve these problems still existed. The human-built machines were still there, still functional in many cases. But without humans to operate and maintain them, they might as well have been ancient artifacts from a lost civilization. Dr. Susan Parker was leading the human research efforts in the Andromeda colonies. She had been working on improvements to the technology that the aliens were now desperately trying to understand. Her new designs were so advanced that they made the old systems look primitive. "We have solved the hyperspace navigation problem completely," she reported to President. "Right. Our new ships can travel anywhere in the galaxy without needing navigation beacons. We have also developed self-repairing systems that do not require constant maintenance." How long would it take to rebuild the alien infrastructure with our new technology? Wright asked. "If we started today and worked around the clock? Maybe 10 years to restore basic functionality, 20 years to bring them up to our current level." Wright nodded, but both of them knew this was not going to happen. The aliens had burned their bridges with humanity. Even if they could find the human colonies, the humans had no reason to help them rebuild. The final blow to alien civilization came when the remaining governments started fighting each other, with their economies collapsing and their territories under attack. They began to blame each other for their problems. The Andorians accused the Zephyrians of sabotaging their technology. The Centaurians claimed that the Rigelians were hoarding resources. The smaller species formed their own alliances and refused to cooperate with the larger powers. Council Speaker Vexthal, who had led the vote to exclude humans from the council, was now presiding over the dissolution of that same council. His government controlled only a few star systems, and even those were in rebellion. "This is all the humans' fault," he declared during what would be the last official council meeting. "They abandoned us when we needed them most." "No," said Administrator Clethra, who had lost her mining operations to raiders. "This is our fault. We had the greatest technological civilization in galactic history, and we threw it away because we were too proud to admit that humans were essential to it." The meeting ended in chaos, with different species walking out and declaring independence from the council. The great alliance that had ruled the galaxy for centuries was officially dead. Ambassador Charles Brooks was preparing his final report on the situation in alien space. He had been monitoring their communications and tracking their attempts to contact the human colonies. All of their efforts had failed. "They have sent over 300 diplomatic missions to try to find us," he wrote. "They have offered us complete control of the council, unlimited resources, and full autonomy for human colonies. But they still do not understand the real problem." The real problem was not what the aliens were offering now. The real problem was how they had treated humans for 50 years before the crisis began. They had seen humans as useful tools rather than equal partners. Now that they needed help, they were making the same mistake again. The humans had moved beyond the need for alien approval or alien resources. They had built something new and better in the empty space between galaxies. The old galaxy could burn for all they cared. 5 years had passed since humanity left the galaxy behind. The Great Galactic Council was nothing but a memory now. Where once there had been thousands of connected worlds working together, now there were only scattered groups of aliens struggling to survive on their own planets. President Marcus Wright stood in his office on New Geneva Station, looking out at the bustling human colony. Ships were coming and going constantly, bringing supplies from successful mining operations and carrying finished goods to the growing network of human worlds. Humanity had not just survived their exile, they had become stronger than ever before. "The morning report, sir," said Chief of Staff Linda Johnson, handing him a tablet with the latest information from across human space. Wright read through the updates with satisfaction. New Earth was now home to 50 million people. New Boston had become a major industrial center. New Chicago was leading the galaxy in scientific research. The human colonies were thriving in ways that would have been impossible under alien rule. "Any word from the old territories?" Wright asked. "The same as always," Linda replied. "More desperate pleas for help. The Zephyrian remnants are offering us their entire home system if we will just restore their technology. The Andorians are promising to make humans the permanent leaders of any new galactic government." Wright shook his head. After 5 years, the aliens still did not understand. They thought this was about power or resources or territory. They could not grasp that humans had simply moved beyond needing anything the aliens could offer. "Captain." Alex Turner was commanding the exploration vessel New Horizons as it pushed deeper into uncharted space. His mission was to find other species that might have been treated badly by the old Galactic Council. The galaxy was full of races that had been ignored or oppressed by the major powers. "Captain, we are receiving a signal from the Vegan Collective," his communications officer reported. "They are requesting permission to meet with us." Alex knew about the vegans. They were a peaceful species that had been driven from their homeworlds by the same alien arrogance that had eventually pushed humans to leave. Like humans, they had been considered too different to fit into the aliens' idea of proper civilization. "Grant them permission to approach," Alex ordered. "Let us see what they have to say." The meeting took place in the conference room of the New Horizons. The vegan representative was a tall, thin being with silver skin and large black eyes. She spoke in a soft voice that reminded Alex of wind chimes. "We have been watching your people with great interest," she said. "Like us, you chose to leave rather than submit to alien prejudice? We would like to know if you might be interested in forming an alliance," Miles. This was exactly what human leadership had been hoping for. "We would be very interested in discussing that possibility. But our alliance would be based on equality and mutual respect, not dominance by any one species." "That is exactly what we were hoping you would say," the vegan replied. Meanwhile, the old alien territories continued to fall apart. The Zephyrian Empire had completely collapsed into warring city-states. The Rigelian Defense Force controlled only their home planet, and even that was in constant danger from pirate attacks. The Centauri worlds had reverted to a primitive barter economy. Dr. Susan Parker was working in her laboratory on the human research station beyond the rim as the head of the Colonial Science Division. She was responsible for the technological advances that had made human independence possible. Her latest project was a breakthrough in faster-than-light travel that would make the old hyperspace routes obsolete. "We can now travel anywhere in the galaxy in a matter of hours instead of days," she explained to her research team. "This technology could revolutionize space travel for any species that wants to use it. Should we share this with our new allies?" asked Dr. Kevin Walsh, her chief assistant. "Absolutely," Susan replied. "But only with species that treat us as equals. The old aliens never get access to our new technology." The human policy was clear. They would share their advances with species that respected them, but they would never again allow themselves to be taken for granted. The aliens who had driven them away would have to solve their own problems. The alien attempts to contact humanity had become increasingly desperate over the years. They had sent hundreds of diplomatic missions to the edge of known space, broadcasting messages on every frequency they could think of. Some of their appeals were pathetic in their desperation. Admiral Peter Clark was the human military commander responsible for monitoring these communications. His job was to make sure that no alien forces could threaten the human colonies. He read through the latest batch of alien messages with cold amusement. Listen to this one, he told his staff. The remaining Rigelian government is offering to surrender complete control of their military to human command if we will just help them rebuild their defense systems. What about the Centaurians? Asked Colonel Danny Foster. They are offering U.S. exclusive trading rights throughout their entire territory. They say they will accept any terms we want to set. The irony was perfect. 5 years earlier, these same aliens had refused to give humans even basic respect in the Council. Now they were offering to surrender their sovereignty entirely just to get human help, but the humans were not interested in ruling alien territories. They had found something much better, the freedom to build their own civilization. According to their own values, the final alien diplomatic mission arrived at the edge of human space in the 6th year after the Exodus. It was led by former Council Speaker Vexthal himself, the same alien who had announced the trade embargo that started the human departure. Vexthal's ship was barely functional. The once proud vessel was patched together with salvaged parts and operated by a crew that clearly did not understand the technology they were using. When they requested permission to enter human space, Admiral Clark personally responded to their transmission. "This is Admiral Clark of the Human Colonial Defense Force," he said. "State your business." Vexthal appeared on the screen, and Clark was shocked by what he saw. The alien leader who had once been so arrogant and proud now looked desperate and broken. His scales had lost their color, and his 4 eyes were dull with exhaustion. "Admiral Clark, I come here to beg for your help," Vexthal said. "Our civilization is dying. Billions of our people have died in the chaos that followed your departure. We were wrong to treat humans the way we did. We acknowledge this now. Please help us rebuild what we have lost." Clark studied the alien for a long moment before responding. "You misunderstand our position, Speaker Vexthal. We did not leave because we wanted to rule you. We left because we refused to be ruled by you. But surely you can see that we have learned our lesson," Vexthal pleaded. "We are offering you complete authority over the reconstruction of our civilization. You can set whatever terms you want." "That is exactly the problem," Clark replied. "You still think this is about power and control. You want us to come back and fix your problems so you can go back to the way things were before. But we have moved beyond that. We have built something new, something better." Vexthal looked confused. "What more could you want? We are offering you everything. You are offering us the chance to clean up your mess and take responsibility for your failures. That is not a gift, Speaker. That is a burden we refuse to accept." Clark terminated the communication without waiting for a response. The alien ship lingered at the edge of human space for several days before finally turning around and heading back toward the dying galaxy. President Wright received Admiral Clark's report about the meeting with great interest. It confirmed what human leadership had suspected. The aliens had learned nothing from their experience. They were still looking for someone else to solve their problems instead of taking responsibility for their own actions. "They will never change," Wright told his cabinet during their weekly meeting. "Even facing extinction, they cannot accept that they created this situation themselves." "What happens when their civilization collapses completely?" asked Defense Secretary Barbara Stone. "Then the galaxy will be free for species that understand the value of cooperation and respect," Wright replied. "We are already in contact with dozens of races that were oppressed by the old council. When we are ready, we will help them build something new." The human vision for the future did not include conquest or domination. It included expansion, exploration, and alliance building with species that shared human values. The old galaxy could keep its ruins and its regrets. Humanity was building a new galaxy based on equality and mutual respect. As the years passed, the contrast between human and alien territories became more and more obvious. Human space was growing rapidly, filled with thriving colonies and peaceful trade routes. Alien space was shrinking, consumed by war, poverty, and technological failure. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about friendship and respect. Some bridges, once burned, could never be rebuilt. Some departures were permanent. And some prices, once paid, could never be refunded. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as rulers or subjects, but as free people building their own destiny. The aliens who had rejected them were welcome to do the same, if they ever learned how, but that was no longer humanity's concern.